So this entire channel is basically dedicated to me finishing my backlog, which is never going to happen, just just so you know. But for the most part, I try to finish all the games I start, but there's quite a few that I've started and haven't finished for various reasons. So I thought it would be kind of fun for me, at least, to talk about the games that I've started and haven't finished, and maybe why I haven't finished them. I don't think this is going to include everything. Like, there's a couple others, but this is going to be like the big ones, I guess. And there's still quite a few on this list. So, yeah, I'll get started. Jedi Fallen Order is fun so far. I think there's a part I'm stuck on, but it's a fun game. I had to stop because something came out. God, what game came out? I don't even remember. There was some game that came out while I was playing it, and I was like, okay, well, I have to play that. So then I just took a break from it, and then I haven't come back because now there's a bunch of other stuff coming out. So, like, if I've got other games I want to play, why would I not play those first? But yeah, I took a break from it, just haven't gone back to it. I probably will at some point, but it's not really fun enough for me to go straight back to. It's kind of like, once I have nothing else going on, that's probably the first thing I'm going to play. But yeah, so that's why I haven't gone back to that. I don't really think I'm going to have plans to play like Jedi Survivor or whatever that's called. But, Fallen Order is okay. I just haven't had a chance to go back to it. Yakuza 0, I like it, but that one's kind of tough for me, not because, well, it was kind of not, it is kind of like not generally the type of game that I would play, but I think the hardest part about going back to it for me is it was like the last game I was playing when my best friend died, and it was a game that he suggested to me, and just the act of going back to that is so hard because then it brings back all of that. And even though it's fun, it brings me joy to like have the silliness. I even got Like a Dragon because he suggested, and I found it on sale somewhere. And it just, it's emotionally hard to go back to it. I want to eventually, but it's hard. I can't really say much more than it's just hard to go back to. Ukulele, that one. So that one, I actually donated to it on Kickstarter using a different name, so you're not going to find me. When it came out, I was actually in the hospital, and I was there for like a week straight, and that's around the time it came out. And when I got out, I never got to it. I think at a couple points I started playing a little bit, and I guess the last time I tried it, I wasn't really enjoying myself much, so I just was like, you know what, maybe this isn't a good for now game. So I just haven't really gone back to it. I wasn't really enjoying myself. Maybe it's just because I was confused by a lot of what was going on. It didn't really feel like there was a lot of. It felt kind of chaotic in a way that wasn't very intuitive. I kind of really couldn't tell what was going on. There was just a lot of random collection of things, even more so than Banjo-Kazooie. I haven't played it in a long time, so maybe I'm completely off base here. But so far, what I've played of Ukulele just is kind of a hodgepodge of random stuff. But I don't know. I wasn't really enjoying myself, so I've just put it on the back burner and I haven't gotten back to it. And then there's Dust and Elysian Tale. I don't know how this ended up in my library, in my Steam library. I think it was a gift, because I certainly didn't buy it. But, I looked it up at one point. I was like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, no, it's a furry game. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe furries while furries are cringe, they can surprise you sometime. Like, I've seen art made by furries, and like, wow, that's surprisingly detailed. And it's like, maybe there's something to this. So I looked it up, and I was like, gameplay doesn't actually look too bad. So I was like, you know what? At some point I'll get to it. It took me a while, but I finally like really played it. And then I think I got like towards the end, and then I just stopped. I just lost interest. Now this one I can actually give some substantial comments on. Gameplay wise, you've got like it's kind of like a combo system. I mean, you're not really like trying to gain combos, but you can use combos to fight enemies. Which I feel like if you're gonna put a combo system in your game, like grade someone on their combos, I guess. I don't really think they do that, but the combo system's kind of fun. It makes action kind of interesting. There's this move where you just spin your sword in front of you, and it like draws stuff in, and also it's just like a multi-hit tool, but you can't use it for too long, or it like hurts you. And then you have like a magic blast, which is kind of pathetic unless you combine it with like the sword spin, and then it just like does huge magic attacks, and it's really fun to use. But it's a little broken, just a little bit. But I use that a lot. There's a few gameplay aspects, like it seems like it was supposed to be kind of like a Metroidvania, but it's kind of a linear story. So it's like there's not really much reason. It's like also like a level area system. So it's like on occasion there's stuff I couldn't get to because I didn't have an ability, and then it's like, why would I go back to that? Like I have no reason to go back to that. Like there's no reason for me to really explore. I don't really know what it would get me. As far as the writing and the story, I didn't like those at all. I did not like them. Like I said, furries can be impressive, but they're also cringe. The main characters I really didn't find very likable. Not because they weren't, not because they weren't good, like morally good characters, but because they weren't interesting. And like a lot of the NPCs just weren't interesting. Nothing was really interesting. Nothing really compelled me. So that's why I kind of lost interest there. And the voice acting's really hit or miss. Sometimes it's like, wow, did you record this in your closet? It doesn't sound good. So it was, yeah, it was such a hit or miss game, and then I eventually just lost interest pretty much towards the end. And then a lot of like the monster designs were really generic and uninteresting. But yeah, like I said, the gameplay is pretty solid. Like I had fun playing it for the most part. There's a few gameplay hiccups, like the Metroidvania type exploration. That's like, why would I go back there? And then there's like healing items and like getting healing items, and there's like this like item crafting system that I like never used because I couldn't figure it out or how to use it. So there's just a few things where the hiccups kind of put a big wrench in the game, and that's why I haven't really gone back. I just lost interest. The Witcher 3, I've played a semi-significant amount, but at the time I was borrowing it, and so I have to basically restart my file, and that just seems like a very daunting task. Like, yeah, I've done it, I can obviously do it again, but it's kind of a daunting task. So it's just on the back burner for a while. And also, big open world games. Yakuza 0 kind of fits into this as well. But The Witcher 3 is a big open world game. And exploration is it can be kind of hit or miss for me. It's kind of like I have to be in the right mood for the most part, unless I'm specifically excited for that game. And while I like the general concept of The Witcher, the gameplay wasn't really hitting super hard for me. Like, I wasn't not enjoying myself, but I still, like, it wasn't something I was super excited to go back to. Added to the fact that I was going to play it this summer, but now I've got Hogwarts Legacy and Tears of the Kingdom to play. So that's 2 open world games in a row. Not to mention I just played Breath of the Wild. So that's a lot of open world games in a row to worry about. So I was going to do it this summer, and then I decided, you know what? We're going to push that maybe to next year, maybe the year after. I want to do it at some point. It's going to be like a big summer game for me. That's going to be my thing. It's going to be one big summer game, and I'm going to have a few of those at some point. But we'll see how that goes, because it's a daunting task. It's a big game to get to, so I want to make sure that I'm prepped and ready for it, instead of just jumping into it and then having to stop midway because I need a break. I don't want to have to do that. Speaking of big overworld games, Final Fantasy 15. I started it. I played a little bit. I don't like it. I don't like playing it. I didn't enjoy it. Not to mention, I've gone online and seen what other people said, and a lot of their complaints are stuff that I would also have problems with. Maybe I didn't get to all of those yet, but just so far what I've been playing, I don't really like FF15. I'm the kind of person who's like, I want to enjoy Final Fantasy, but there's just so many things in the way, and FF15 has a whole slew of new problems getting in the way for me not to enjoy it, and most of that is gameplay related. Just, like, I have no interest so far. Maybe I'll try to get to it eventually, but I feel like I might not, honestly. I feel like that's a scrapped one, which I feel bad about because that one was a gift, but I don't think I can. I tried to play Resident Evil 4 because a friend let me borrow it, like an old PS2 copy at one point. That was enough. I didn't put that on my backlog because I was like, I'm going to give it a shot, and I don't like it, so I quit. But FF15, like, that one I actually, like, was going to plan to play all the way through, and I just couldn't get into it. And speaking of Final Fantasy, classic FF7. I've played the remake, which, according to most people, is like maybe 10% of the original, which is frustrating because, they haven't continued that story yet in the remakes. I mean, they did like, what was it, Retrograde or something like that? But like, I didn't get that, and it's probably going to be like all PS5 stuff, which I don't have a PS5 yet. So, but classic FF7 was a gift, and while I wasn't into it at first, because I really don't like turn-based games, I figured, you know what, maybe, after I played FF7 Remake, I thought, you know what, maybe I should go back to the original, because there's a lot of stuff that they supposedly changed. I kind of want to get that original experience. It's a very iconic game that's memorable for a lot of people. Maybe I should go to it at some point. But because it's such a big game, and because it's a turn-based game, I feel like that one's going to be pretty low on my priority list. I think it's going to be a while till I get to it, but I would like to at some, I don't know when, but maybe eventually. And then there's Baba Is You. This one, let me tell you, Baba Is You, I don't know how to feel about it. It's a great puzzle game. I love puzzle games. But Baba Is You is both amazing and incredibly frustrating. It's one where I cannot just go at it. I do a few levels at a time, and then I take massive breaks because it hurts my brain. They're good. Like, I think I would say the best puzzle games are the ones that make you feel smart when you complete a puzzle. They can be difficult, they can be easy, doesn't really matter. As long as you feel smart once you finish them, that's like, wow, yeah, I figured it out. Good for me. And, that's a good way to design a puzzle game. I feel like Baba Is You has the pitfall of feeling like a puzzle game that makes you feel stupid. Because Baba Is You, I like about it that it is basically a game about programming. It's a good introduction to programming, kind of, because the entire premise is you want to break the game so that you can beat it. You'll start off with like Baba Is You, and it's like, okay, that's usually a hard and fast rule, where you control Baba or some other character. But sometimes you're going to have to become other things, or you're going to have to change the properties of certain things, or you're going to have to change certain things into other things, or certain things will have an attribute, and you'll have to give them another attribute. And then you'll have to use all these attributes for things that don't make any sense to beat the game. But there's a few instances where there's really no indication that you can do something, and that's what you're supposed to do to beat the puzzle. Like, there's a few puzzles where I'm like, I give up, I don't know, what's the solution? I look it up, and I'm like, why would I have ever thought to do that? Like, in what world? So, and it has to do with, pushing items on top of text and weird stuff like that. Again, sometimes it works, sometimes it does not at all. Again, I really like it, I really like the concept, but oh my god, it makes me feel stupid. Or it makes me feel like, wow, this is stupid. So, yeah, my goal is to get through it eventually, but it's going to be a long, slow process where I do little bits at a time and then take large breaks in between. So, yeah, I think that's all the games that I've started and haven't finished. So, there might be more. I think there's a couple others, but these are my big ones. Hopefully I can get through most of them eventually. Like I said, a couple of them I just dropped because I lost interest. But hopefully most of them I can get through at some point. Because, I don't want to just buy a bunch of games and then not play them. Which I haven't even gotten started on the games that I've bought and haven't started yet. I keep wanting to go to the Spyro Reignited trilogy and just haven't gotten to it yet because games keep coming out. I don't have time. Because I've got other stuff that I'm like, I want to play this. I'm in the mood for this. Oh, I want to go back and play some GameCube games that I haven't played in a long time. It's a problem. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of fun to talk about. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.